Hey there, team. I'm so excited about this call. Thank you for being patient. I can see that you're on live over here on my other laptop. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And as Melanie is speaking, I'll try and answer questions too if I know the answer. But I'm so excited for this call. This is the Diamond Prep call. Congratulations for earning your way into this call. This is an exclusive call. This was not a link that the entire team got or the downline. This is only for those of you that earned this call and are at least Emerald. And now you're like, okay, how do I get to that next step? And I cannot stress enough what an amazing opportunity you have in your pocket right now. And this is the point at which you need to go, okay, I've made it to that first milestone. I can see diamond in my sights. And that's that next step to really letting your business start to gain that momentum and take off. Okay, so I'm so excited to introduce to you our special guest speaker, Melanie Mitro. She is a mom of two. She's a wife. She's been a coach since 2011. She's a 7-time elite coach. She's a 6-time top 10 coach. And get this, she is a 4-time #1 coach. That right there should stop you in your tracks. Let me repeat that. She has been the #1 coach 4 years in a row. Okay, that's insanity. Each year I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna do it again. She's also a Superstar Diamond 3. So for those of you that are newer to the business, you may not understand what that means yet. But once you have your business gets to 2-star, then 5-star, then 7, 8, 10, 9, 15. I went from 10 to 9, 10, 15. So 15-star diamond is called Superstar Diamond. When you get to 2-star diamond, you get to open up another business center. She has 3 business centers that are 15-star diamond. Okay, so mind blown. She's got a lot of coaches within her organization that she has helped develop to the diamond rank and well beyond. Okay, and that's what you should want for your team members. I know you may just have 2 coaches right now, and that's okay. And they may not really want to even work the business, and that's okay. We all started there. Okay, so she's a Superstar Diamond 3. She's made Success Club every single month that she's been in the business. That too is really mind blowing. It says a lot about her determination and hard work and ethic and just persistence. She's also received the CEO award, and that's a huge deal. That's the award that Carl Daikeler himself awards to a coach that's just gone above and beyond. And obviously, Melanie was like, okay, of course, Melanie deserves this award. And Melanie, with all those accolades, Melanie is the most highly respected coach in the network, in my opinion. And I think anyone else you talk to will agree. Usually when you have someone that's killing it year after year after year like that, there's just a whole bunch of people going, just jealous and envious. But not with Melanie, because everyone just really, really respects how she runs her business and how hard she works and how she is as a mother and as a wife, or at least how we perceive she is as a wife. She seems really kind, and she's just knowledgeable and is constantly sharing what she knows and what she does. So I hope that you are ready with pen and paper to take great notes. I am. I'm so excited about this and really take in what she has to say here in terms of getting to that next level. And I hope that after this call, you are going to execute. So with that, are you there, Melanie?
I'm here, but I think you made me cry.
Oh, really?
You did. I did. My eyes definitely teared up today. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that really kind introduction. I appreciate that. Sometimes you feel like, oh, there she goes again on stage, 4-time top coach. Like, who's going to be next?
No, we don't think that way. We love you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. And it's such an honor to get to work with such incredible people and to have gotten to know you over the years too. So thank you for having me here tonight.
Of course.
Okay, so as you were sort of talking and introducing myself, those accolades sound wild and crazy, even as they're sometimes repeated back to me as people are introducing me. I'm like, did that really happen? And so I do want to share with you, if you could actually see outside of my screen right now, I mean, there are boxes and piles and there is laundry and there are dishes in the sink. And, my husband is with our youngest at baseball practice, and my oldest, I bribed him with Fortnite for an extra half hour so that he would be, he would be quiet during the call, because it's kind of the witching hour, right, of the evening. And, and I'm just doing my best to run a successful business where I feel like I'm serving others as well as I can, but also be a mom and a wife as well. And so, at every level of my business, it's always been a challenge. And if I put myself back in the place of a new coach and where you guys are right now, Emerald is like that first rank. And I can remember just working so hard to get my first 2 coaches because my husband wouldn't let me sign him up right off of the bat, right? And I really struggled with not having supportive people that were willing to buy challenge packs, that were willing to join my challenge groups. And so, I also did not have a social media following. So, if you look at the start of my business, I didn't have an Instagram account. I had less than, 100 friends on my Facebook page. I was still in the midst of my own personal transformation. And then my husband didn't really support me. I was a stay-at-home mom, 6-month-old, 2.5-year-old. Like, a lot of the cards were kind of stacked against me. And tonight I kind of want to talk about the grit that you have to have and sort of the foundational principles that you really need to have as a Beachbody coach in order to grow an organization, right? Especially past Emerald, because it's easy. It's easy to get stuck where you're at. It's easy to look at the objections that you're getting or some of the negativity that people can sort of rain on your parade, especially when you're starting to have a little bit of success. And so, I want to walk you through kind of what are the guiding principles that helped me to push past some of those initial obstacles to be able to build my business to diamond, to be able to gain the support and trust of my husband, to be able to go on and be elite and then achieve all of these other accolades. And I want you to know that it was not easy. It was not luck, and it was hard work. But I was recording a podcast episode today, and I was telling my friend, we were doing an interview together, and I said, as hard as it was at the beginning, I will never forget the first big milestone that Matt and I accomplished in our business. And when I was a new coach, I actually had this vision board that I made out of poster board, and I ripped out pictures out of magazines, and I wrote on my vision board, I was going to, earn my first Success Club trip to Disney. And I was going to help 50 people transform their lives that year. I was going to pay off my student loans. We were going to buy our first single family home. And I had all these big visions, and my husband laughed at me. He thought I was kind of crazy. And I hung that vision board on my wall in our basement where I would do my workout. And every day I would look at it. And I would take it off the wall when company would come over, because I was somewhat embarrassed of like my goals and other people seeing them. So I'd take it off the wall and I'd hide it behind the TV. When people would leave, I'd hang it back up on the wall again. And the first like really big goal that we accomplished was we paid off all of my student loans. And I was telling this story today to my friend, and I said, when we went to click submit on that final loan payment, Matt looked at me and he was like, you do realize, like, we would have made our last student loan payment when we sent our oldest, Landon, who is now 10, to college. So we would have been paying those student loans every single month. And that was such a burden. That was like the most, and it was one of those payments that gets bigger, the closer you get to the end. So, and we were like, we didn't know how we were going to pay it because we were on a single family income. And he was like, you push the button. And I was like, no, you push the button. He's like, you earned the money, you push the button. And I can remember pushing the button, and Matt sort of like tried to keep it together, but I could kind of tell he was having a meltdown, that all this money went out of our bank account at one point. And the next week we opened up our paycheck and it was there again. And it was like this moment where, and I have goosebumps talking about it, but it was like, That's what we worked so hard for. We worked hard for the freedom. We worked hard to be able to not have to stress about the money. And every morning when I would press play on my workout and I was working on me, I was looking at those goals and I was saying, I can do this. Why not me? And so I know where you're at right now. You're in the trenches. You're getting objections. Your post, you may feel like you're speaking to an audience and nobody's responding. And you may feel like it's like sometimes like pulling teeth to get people to respond to you. But I'm telling you that consistency over time is what is going to help you break through where you're at right now to take you to the next level. And so what I wanted you to take away from that piece is, what is your why? What is your driving force? What is that thing that hangs on your vision board in your, wherever you work out, or that you look at first thing in the morning, that when you put your feet on the floor, you are like, I can do this. I will show up. I will push through the hard, and I will do it no matter what. I just taught my team this week. I said to them, guys, I want you to envision, I want you to visualize your big goal. And so, think about what that may be. Maybe it's like, I want to earn Success Club 12 months in a row so that I can go on the Success Club trip next year. And so then print that out, print the picture of the resort, and I want you to put it on your refrigerator. And so for me, it was Disney. I hung that Disney picture on my fridge. And so whenever I get into that moment where I'm like, I don't want to invite, or I'm tired, I just want to go to bed, or, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or, I don't feel like doing my workout, I will envision having to tell my children that mommy didn't work hard enough, right? Mommy made excuses. Mommy hit the snooze button. She didn't get out of bed. She was too afraid of what other people would think. So we couldn't earn that trip. I'm sorry. Let me take that picture off the wall and let's rip it up and throw it in the garbage can. And I visualize having to tell them that I didn't show up. And when I take that, when I flip it around that way, it's like, stop being selfish. Like this goal, this work isn't just impacting you. It is impacting your family, their future, and their lives. And so we have to be willing to show up and do the hard work in the moment. And so when I say it like that, it's like, well, of course I'm going to send 5 more invites. Of course I'm going to post on social media. Of course I'll do the follow-ups, because I want to make sure that I'm a good example to my boys as well, right? And so find your why, find your thing, and then create strategies along the way that when you start to make an excuse, when you start to, procrastinate, think of them. Think of them and say, I'm willing to do the hard work because I know what the outcome is going to be. The next thing that for me, that I think is super important is, there was never a moment where I did not believe in what I was doing, right? So even though I had no idea how I was going to get to elite or how I was going to get to diamond, I believed that it was possible. I believed that if I just followed the lead of my mentors, that I would figure it out. And instead of looking at the big picture, I was like, what can I do every single day to get one step closer? Not the big picture, 5 things. Like, what are 5 things I could do? And they were simple things like invite, follow up, post really good content, right? Go live on social media, send out that email. It was very practical, simple things, and I didn't overcomplicate it. But for me, it was like this simple belief. It was like, I'll figure it out. I believe in the products. I believe in the programs. Number one, because I'm walking proof. I drink my Shakeology every single day. I show up and I do my workout. I have done every single Beachbody program that the company has ever launched from start to finish as a coach, because I feel like if I want people to buy a product, then I have to show them how it works, right? So I do it. Even if I don't love it, I learn something about myself along the way, right? I have my favorites, but I have belief. I also have belief in the business model. Even as a newer coach, right? Maybe you're just starting to pay for your product. You're starting to maybe pay for your groceries each month. You're starting to see some success. You're getting swag from the company for hitting Success Club. And so I would say to myself, I need to make sure that I am showing all of the small wins along the way. So my way of talking about the business from day one was like, I would say, I can't believe the company just sent me, this bag for doing my job, right? They just sent me this swag and I helped 3 people get started on their fitness journey. I would do this job even if I didn't get paid for it. But how cool is that, right? So I talk about things like that. I would take pictures of my boys sitting on both sides of the couch and me sitting in the middle, and I would be on my laptop and they would be watching, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and I would talk about, this is such a perk of my job. I don't have to take them to daycare. I don't have to be gone for 9 hours every day. I get to do my job while they're watching cartoons and I get to be present. And so like along the way, I started to share the groceries, take a picture of the trunk, talk about the groceries, my challengers and their success stories. Then it started to get bigger. But the cool part about that is my followers watched me from the start. You can scroll back to 2011 when I started my business and you could literally watch the entire 7.5 years of my coaching journey unfold. You can see me when I was posting about the groceries and you can see us when we're buying our dream house, right? And so there's power in belief from day one and talking about it unapologetically and saying to people, you can do this too. I can help you. And don't be fooled. I ran business opportunity calls as an Emerald coach. And I was like, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing, right? I had no idea what I was doing, but I would listen to other leaders who would post their business opportunity calls on YouTube, and I would take notes. And I would take notes of their bullet points, and I would tape my notes to my computer screen. And I would do a business opportunity call because I knew that if I wanted to grow a team, I needed to position myself in a leadership role even before I felt ready to lead. And there was no way I was going to learn how to lead unless I just jumped in and sort of learned through trial and error. And that came from this deep belief, not only in the company, but also in myself, that I would figure it out, that I would fail my way forward no matter what. So ask yourself right now, are there opportunities just within the things I've talked about so far that you could begin to implement that would begin to elevate you so people saw you not just as somebody that loves to work out, that loves to drink Shakeology, that eats really healthy, but also somebody that is a business owner, somebody that can help you to create freedom in your life, whether it's small or it's on a larger scale. So hopefully some of that has resonated with you so far. All right, so the next thing that I got actually from a conference I was at this weekend that I took back to my team and I taught it immediately was this concept of building your business on social media. So I'm sure, and if I was to give like a raise of hands, how many of you are on Instagram building your business? How many of you are like, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, but you're posting pictures of, you're doing motivational quotes, you're posting pictures of your cats, you're posting the same workout selfie every day, and you're just like documenting the fact that you worked out. Maybe it's a picture of your Shakeology, maybe it's your groceries for, whatever you're buying, but there's really no rhyme or reason. And your mindset is like, I need to get a post up. Let me hurry up and make a post. And so it's like, okay, I'll throw up a motivational quote because I don't have anything better to say right now. And so if I look at your grid, it's like, you're just on Instagram, but you don't actually have a strategy, right? It's not actually thought out. And so Jasmine Star was the presenter that she actually showed her Instagram account. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was so me as a coach, right? I was like, okay, I got to get in my 3 to 4 times a day. And so it was random. It was like motivational quote, picture of my water bottle. And then it was like my dog. And I was just trying to check off the boxes on my business activity tracker. And when I stopped doing that and I started to say my Instagram or my Facebook, whatever your social media is, when you start to say to yourself, this is my business and this is what people are seeing. This is the magazine cover, right? Is my feed, is my news feed. And so I want people to come in and take a peek around. Like I want them to watch my stories. I want them to get curious and click on my links. I really need to start approaching this as a marketer and not just somebody that's playing around on Instagram or Facebook. And so when I started to implement that, my whole business shifted, right? And so I have, over the past, 24 months, have really began to say to myself, what's the strategy behind what I'm putting out there? And so a big part of my business is planning. So, and this is something that as an Emerald coach, you can really begin to say to yourself, okay, I've achieved Emerald. I'm hitting Success Club. What's next? Start outlining your strategy to get to Diamond. Start outlining your strategy to add more coaches to your team. Start outlining your strategy of what your next challenge group is going to be. And so for me, every single month, I start with the end in mind. And even on a weekly basis. So here we are, it's a Thursday. It's the start of a new business week. Ask yourself, in the next 7 days, by next Thursday at this time, what do you want to achieve? So number of coaches you want to sign up, number of points you'd like to earn, whatever it is, write that down. Then I say to myself, how am I going to get to that goal? So is it like I'm starting a challenge group on the 15th of April? So I am going to, so if that's what I'm advertising for, then I can say, okay, that's how I'm going to get there. I'm going to invite and advertise for that. If it's a business opportunity call because I want to sign up 2 coaches, I make sure it's on the calendar. I never say to myself, if I get people to join a challenge group, then I'll run one. It's always, here's the date. Let me back myself into it. Here's when I'm starting my next training for coaching. Let me back myself into it. So I always start with the end in mind. And then I say, okay, over the next 7 days, how can I be strategic about my content so that I reach my goals? And so I'll just kind of walk you through how my brain works to help you sort of plan it out. So I'll make a list. It kind of starts with brainstorming. I'll say, okay, I want to sign 2 coaches in the next 7 days. What are all the ways that I can talk about coaching? Sounded like somebody fell on the steps there for a second, and we're all good. Just, I think he jumped like 4 steps. Anyways, so I will kind of start with the end in mind, and I'll write down a list and I'll say, okay, small wins. Well, this week I was able to pay my groceries in cash. Perfect. I am going to write about that, paid my groceries, and I'll just start writing taglines down, right? I'll write like all the headers. Then I'll say to myself, so paid for the groceries in cash. Okay, flexibility, right? I get to make my own business hours. Maybe Friday used to be like my day to take the boys to the library. So I would talk about how it was like Freedom Friday. And every Friday I would talk about what my kids and I were doing that was fun and different because I was able to work from home. And the money that I was making with Beachbody, right, was now allowing us to do little fun day dates that we actually couldn't do before. And so make a list. Is it that you are surrounding yourself with positive people? And prior to Beachbody, you had a pretty negative circle of friends. Like, even talk about the community, the culture, right? The relationships, the personal development. And so I will make a list of like 7 to 10 things that I am going to post about. And so then I take those 7 to 10 things and I actually put them on my calendar. And I say, okay, Monday I'm going to talk about this. Tuesday I'm going to talk about this. And so from there, I look at that and I try to say to myself, how can I make this content stretch as far as possible? And I find that when I talk about the same concept in a post that I talk about in my stories, that I make a live video about, I find that my content sticks a little bit more. And so let me give you an example of how that actually looks. So let's say I paid for my groceries this week and I'm going to celebrate that. So I'm going to make a post about it, right? I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to go to Instagram or Facebook and I'm going to go live. And I am going to talk about, paying for the groceries. And I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to say, you know what, guys, I had a really big milestone in my business, and I'm going to talk about who we were before. We were the family that had only an extra $100 in the budget once all of our bills were paid at the end of the month. And it created a lot of stress for Matt and I. We thought about money all the time. And so, one of my first business goals with Beachbody was to be able to pay for our groceries every single month. And guys, this month I did it. right? And I can't tell you how proud I felt to walk into that grocery store and swipe my debit card knowing that that money was in there. I didn't have to worry about overdrafting it, and I earned that in the pockets of time before my kids got up, while they were napping in the evenings, and I'm getting in the best shape of my life. And I would still like give 3 tips for like how I did it, right? And I would show my audience how I started to build the business. I'd keep it under 10 minutes, which I always do, because then I can save that live video to my camera roll. Then I can upload it to my Instagram TV. And the beauty of that is when you put things on Instagram TV, there's this function that allows you to do a preview now on your grid. And your views literally will triple on your Instagram TV if you do it that way. You can hashtag your IGTVs. You can put links in there as well. So you better believe at the end of my IGTV, I'm doing some sort of invite. If this spoke to you, if you could relate to a part of my story, right? Visit my bio, fill out the link. I'm accepting new members to my team. I throw that invite in there at the end. The most important part about what I just shared in the post and in the live was that I wasn't like just preaching at people. I wasn't just saying, look at me, I made $500, and paid for our groceries for the month or whatever. I actually am talking about the struggle. I'm talking about our hardships. I'm actually getting raw and real about our finances and our personal situation, which is uncomfortable because we all have people out there on social media we know, right? And so, but that is important. Your audience needs to be able to see themselves in a part of your story. And so I find that when I talk about the story and I talk about how we overcame it, I give a few tips, it sticks, and I get a much better result. So I have people that like to read so they can see the post. I have people that like to listen so they can listen to the live. And then I have the IGTV that lives on forever. And I can take it a step further and put it on my YouTube channel. And I've now shared one thought, one idea, 4 different ways. I haven't created more work for myself. It was a consistent theme and message for that entire day. I could even do like an IG story kind of sequence where I talk about my 4 top tips for earning my grocery money for the month, right? And I could actually give business advice in my Instagram stories too. So I try to do that. Every time I create content, I will do that sort of like sequence, and it just really helps me drive my content home. All right. So when it comes to like sharing that content, I find that's key. So marketing strategy, right? Every day I'm asking myself, what's the purpose of this post? Why am I doing it? What do I want people to get out of it? Is it for teaching? Is it for just inspiration? Is it a call to action? Is it a call to think? Is it a straight engagement post? But I always ask myself, like, what do I want people to do with what I'm about to share on my social media? So that is really powerful. You are no longer just playing around on social. Your goal is to get those people to sign up. It takes about 7 to 10 days before people actually sort of catch on, right? Oh, she's, like they have to hear that invite a couple of times. So don't worry about overdoing it. Don't worry about, talking about it too much. You aren't. Trust me. It takes people at least 20 times of seeing your content before it actually sticks. And I know that to be true, especially with my cold market. It really takes people a couple of months of kind of watching me before things come to fruition. All right, another piece of advice that I will tell you at this point in the journey is you can get by on those selfies every single day, right? You can get by at this point of kind of just sharing your food. You are probably getting by on your warm market right now. But I'm going to tell you, eventually your audience will become desensitized to your post if they haven't already. And so this is really where I've had to be creative with my content. And so one of the things that I find coaches do is they speak at their audience, right? So, and this just happened to me yesterday. So I had a coach that it was Tuesday. She did a Transformation Tuesday post. And in that post, she said, if you want if you want something different, you have to be willing to make a change. And then she put like 3 little dots and she said, join my challenge group on X date. And it was her transformation. And it was a good transformation. But the way she said it was really harsh. And I almost felt like when I read it, she was talking down to me. Like, if you don't just have the grit to change, then I don't want to help you. Like, it came across harsh. And so I voice messaged her and I said, look, I get that you're trying to talk about the fact that you're busy and the fact that you like do hard things. And if you want to make a change, you just make a decision to make a change. I said, but you really need to relate to your audience. You actually need to, in this post, say to people, look, I'm a super busy mom too. I work a 60-hour work week. I travel. I have 3 kids. There isn't a lot of time in my day. It would be easy for me to make excuses, but my health is important to me. And this is why. So here are the ways that I make my health a priority. It's just that I made a choice that I wanted to not have to be on the offense of my health, but I wanted to be on the defense, right? As I get older, I want to know that I am, living a healthy life. And then she went into, here's how you can join my challenge group. I want to help you. These are the things that I've learned. And so she took this post that was like very much, I'm speaking at you. And she started including people in the story. One more example is I had another coach this past week that said, are you riding the struggle bus? And then she went in and she was speaking at that. You have to do this. You have to make a decision. And she was like, it was harsh. She was speaking at the audience, right? And all her picture was a picture of her shaker cup on the windowsill. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like, nobody's going to sign up for your challenge group. You're not in the photo, right? And you didn't tell anything about you. This picture and this text didn't relate to struggle bus whatsoever. And I know she's struggling. I was like, you need to tell a story. Tell me a story about how you're struggling, but then how did you overcome it? What did you do to make yourself press play? What did you do to make sure you ate the right foods today? How did you walk away from the chocolate chip cookies on the break table today? Tell me how you did it. How did you get off that struggle bus? Then throw a call to action at the end about, I can help you too, right? We're in this together. I can teach you the strategies in my toolbox. So involving people in the story, and this is a great thing from building a story brand. It's about being the guide and not the hero. So if you're always looking like the person that came out on top, that never struggles, that everything's just perfect, your audience won't relate to you. If they feel like they're being talked down to, a wall will automatically go up. So even when I'm writing my posts, I read them back to myself and I always say, did I catch them with the tagline, right? Is there a good caption that starts it out so they want to stop and read? Is my picture clear and eye-catching, right? Because that's really the first thing. If the picture's not good, they're going to scroll right past it. The tagline, did I include myself in the story? Like, did I immediately state the problem, right, that I was currently having? Then did I kind of show them how I'm working through it? And then did I end with the call to action? And that sort of is like how all of my posts sort of go through those steps. And it really does make a big impact on the bottom line. All right. So the last things that I want to say to you guys, I have 2 more and then I'll be done, is people are not going to buy from you if you aren't showing up. All right. So I know that we all are silently like doing our workouts, drinking our shake, eating healthy, but that documentation part of it, even though sometimes you feel like it's the same thing day after day, people like consistency, people like routine, people want to know how you're doing it. So don't ever stop sharing all the little things that you're doing. When you travel, share how you travel and stay on track. When you are on the road and you're working out in a hotel gym, talk to people. How do you log into Beachbody On Demand? How do you download your workouts? How do you, improvise if you don't have the weights that you need to have in the gym that you're in? Like, talk about your story as you're going through it. Don't wait until you get to the end of a program to show your results. The real transformation and the way you build that following is for people kind of getting to see it as it unfolds. All right. Okay. And the last thing is this. You are going to have bad days. You are going to fall on your face. You're going to make a bad post. You are going to say the wrong things. You are going to make people mad. You are going to scare people away. Like, this is just a part of being a business owner. You are not ever fail proof. All right. Nobody is. And if you are afraid to fail, you are never going to succeed. I have failed so many times, so bad, so embarrassing, but I apologize. And it just happened to me today. It just happened to me today where I said something in a team page and somebody took it the wrong way, and it was not what I had meant whatsoever. And I just very simply said, that was not my intentions at all. I am so sorry that it came across that way. I hope you sincerely accept my apology. Now that I see it from your perspective, I see how that could have been misconstrued, but I'm human. I make mistakes, and I hope you will accept that apology. I've done it with people when I word vomit on them. As a new coach, I went and said, you know what? As I read that back to myself, I'm really sorry. I just spewed a ton of information, and I overwhelmed myself when I read it back, right? And so let me just back it up a little bit. Here's what I would really like to ask you, all right? I've made bad posts before. So what? I archive them, or I just say, oh, well, I'll try again next time. And so for me, the way I look at this business, the way I teach my team is your business is like riding a bike. If you've ever taught a child how to ride a bike, when they first get on the bike and you take those training wheels off, they're unstable, right? They're sort of shaky, and they're thinking about the fact that they have to pedal and they have to steer and they have to balance, and all at the same time, they can't run into the mailbox, right? And so what do children do? They fall over. They don't even get that first round on that bike. They fall over. We don't say to our kids, that's it. You're not meant to ride a bike. Let's sell the bike at the garage sale. You're never going to ride a bike. No, we tell our kids, dust themselves off. You're fine. Get back on and try again. And when they fall off again, we say, you're fine. Get back on and try again. And as a coach, right, we have to look at our business the exact same way. We are going to fall off that bike, and we have to be able to say, get back on and try again. And if we only practice riding our bike when it's convenient, or every month, or when the sun is only shining, or only on Tuesdays, we'll never learn to become proficient at riding the bike. It's the same thing in our business. If you only invite when you're in a good mood, when you've had a good day, when all the conditions are perfect, you'll never become proficient at the business basics. So what I say to coaches is pretend you're riding the bike. The more times you get on and practice, the faster you will learn. And before you know it, you're going to be riding to the stop sign, not even thinking about pedaling, not even having to worry about the balance or steering. You're going to miss the mailbox, and it'll be the same thing in your business too. Before you know it, the invites will come natural. The posts will begin to happen. The confidence will grow at inviting people to join your team. But it's only if you're willing to practice more than the average coach. And that is truly the principles, the basics of what this business is built on, is just keeping it simple. And it's like wash, rinse, and repeat over time. And we learn through that process to become the leaders that we are supposed to become. So with that being said, those are some of my principles to helping you guys push past Emerald, work towards Diamond, and build an amazing business. All right. Do you have any questions?
Melanie, that was amazing. Yes. First of all, everyone, so many comments. I wish you could see them. Actually, you might get overwhelmed if you could see them. But everyone is loving this content. It was so spot on. Trying to figure out where I should start with some of the questions. Okay, well, first of all, a couple people agreed when one person said that their issue is always feeling worried that they're coming across as salesy. And I think that question was probably asked before you went through the lesson of you've got to show the struggle. Mm-hmm. You've got to tell the story. Because I think when you do that, I know when you do that, people don't see it as, oh, she's trying to make a sale. Because we're not saying, go to my website, join me, buy from me. We're saying, I woke up this morning and I started to tear up. Mm-hmm. And I realized, you're telling a story. You're telling about a moment in time, something that happened. You're telling about a struggle. Mm-hmm. And then you're going through and saying, here's how I overcame it. Here's what I did. And I want to help you too. Because I'm sure there's someone that resonates with this. So you're telling a story, you're solving a problem, and you're doing it with a strategy in mind, knowing that I want to be able to help, 5 women this month, start their fitness journey and start a program. So you're doing it with a struggle. You're doing it with solving a problem. You're doing it with a call to action. You're doing it with a picture that grabs attention. You're doing it with a tagline that grabs their attention. And you've got a call to action in there saying, look, if this resonates with you, I want to help.
Right.
So I think, how could that possibly come across as salesy? You're not even saying, look, I'm trying to sell, here's my Shakeology, here's my link. But what's your thoughts on that?
And I did this past week when I was traveling. So especially as I'm priming, especially for a challenge group, I will spend a whole week just sort of giving free advice, especially for challengers. So I always look at my life, and so I was traveling. So I went and my husband, Matt, he's our chef of the house, right? So I was like, I want to document how I travel and what I pack in my coolers. We got our Beachbody cooler out. He made some like flank steak and green beans, and we did all this stuff in the containers. I packed my beach bars and my Shakeology and my shaker cup. And I left time before I left for the airport, and I narrated the whole bag. And I was like, this is how I stay on track. And I just basically said, so many people tell me they get off course when they travel and it's hard to stay on track. Let me show you how I do it. There was no invite in there. It was just very simply me walking people through what I do and sharing, how I stay on track. So that wasn't selling at all. I was giving free advice, right?
Building trust, people, you build that trust when you're constantly helping people in a way that obviously doesn't have a call to action, and it's just you sharing what you do and what helps.
Yep. Yeah. And I did another post over the weekend where I forgot my gym shoes. Actually, of all the things I could forget, I forgot my workout shoes, right? And I was like, okay, this is a teachable moment. I am not going to not work out. So I wore my walking shoes to the gym. And I talked about how silly I felt and how I could have used this as an excuse, right? I could have walked back up to my room and said, I'm not going to work out. But I talked about, that doing a workout, even if it's not ideal conditions, is better than not doing it at all. And so I kind of spoke to people in the audience that maybe were had less than ideal conditions and were thinking about not doing their workout today. And so again, there was no invite, but it was very simply I was speaking to the people that could relate to that post. It was building trust.
That's perfect. That's awesome. Sarah Potts was asking, she says, I struggle with showing my coaches how to succeed. Sarah does extremely well.
Yeah.
Does all the things, but she struggles with showing her coaches how to succeed. What's your advice as far as the weekly and monthly must-dos?
Mm-hmm. Well, when it comes to showing your coaches how to succeed, I always say if I lead by example, they will watch, and I take it one step further. So when I create my marketing plan for the week, I very simply copy and paste it into my team page, right? As I'm doing things, I just copy paste. I don't make more work for myself, but I'm like, hey, this post worked really well. Here's why. These are the Insta stories I posted. Here's why. Here's an example of an invite I did. Try this, right? So I'm just constantly, whatever I'm doing, I'm giving it to them. Mm-hmm. And so my monthly must-dos always include at least one challenge group every single month, at least 2 business opportunity calls every single month. I go live 4 times a week. That's my own personal goal. So I sort of have these things that I just do on repeat, and then I just simply lead. I teach them, right? And sometimes it's motivation. Sometimes it's just sharing my content, and I really listen to what they're saying. So if they're really having a hard time growing their contact list or making connections with people, then I go live and I just give them suggestions for what to do. So it's really just sort of leading in the trenches is honestly what I do. Whatever's on my calendar is also on theirs.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And I would say too, Sarah, just to add to that, maybe they just need someone to believe in them. Sometimes And you should see Sarah's account, Melanie. She's just amazing. And they might look at you, Sarah, and be like, but I can't do what you do, and I'm not you, or I don't have that amazing transformation. So a lot of it, I feel, and I know you agree, Melanie, is just, you know, seeing the strengths in them that they don't see.
Yes, yes. And so tonight, for example, I mean, I'm 7.5 years into this business. It's sometimes like you forget what it was like to start. So I took my success starters from this month. I had 2 girls that hit SC 3 months in a row. And I was like, well, you guys, can we just go live in the team page and I'll interview you? And so I had them as people that have very little social media following. And I asked them the questions I knew people would want answers to. And I let them be the people that were doing the training. And that was so powerful because it took the focus away from me and, oh, look at her following and look how far she is. And it gave them inspiration to know they could do it too as new coaches.
Yes, that's so, so key. Okay, I don't want to take any more of your time. Let me just see real quick if there's another one. Megan Hess says, do you have a training on how you use Google Streak? And I can answer that, Megan. Yes, she does. I've watched it. It was amazing. I hit pause several times. I learned it. I use it. I love it. Megan, I can share that with you. Unless, Melanie, you know that you have a more current one, but this one was plenty in-depth and current in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't have another one. That's the only one I have.
Yep, it's perfect. I think that's it. Sorry, guys, if I missed any questions, but Melanie, I don't want to keep any longer. Thank you so much. This was absolutely golden, and we are so honored that you spoke for us tonight and took time out of your busy schedule away from your family. I hope your boys enjoyed Fortnite, and I'll go tell my son he can play his video games now. I always tell him he can't while I'm doing these in case I lose Wi-Fi. But anyway, thank you so much. We just love and adore you. And oh, there he is. He's like, I'm ready for bed, Mom.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Have a wonderful night. I will see you guys later.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.